What's up, Legends? Welcome back to another week of Legends. I'm your host, Chobra. This week, we have a returning guest. The last time he was on the show, he absolutely destroyed me while we were eating the fire noodles. It's none other than Brendan Valdes from the LCK Global Broadcast team. Welcome back to the show, Brendan.
Happy to be back. Happy there's no fire noodles this time, Chobra. Maybe we can survive a little bit better.
We are going into the last week of the Summer Split. Are you excited, looking forward to the playoffs?
Yeah, absolutely. We have a really exciting dynamic up at the top where it feels like the top 4 teams are really in it to win it. And Afrika's kind of the wild card. We'll see what they can do, but it should be very competitive. I'm really looking forward to these best of 5s.
As the Summer Split was starting, a lot of people talked about the hope they had that the LCK would learn from the MSC. Do you think that that has come true, that the LCK has evolved into a more exciting league?
I would absolutely agree. I think that pretty much every team towards the top, at least, is really trying to bring in more aggressive parts into their game. I think that up at the top especially, Damwon has really taken that to heart and has just cut down their game time as much as possible. Showmaker gets to go home really quickly all the time.
Damwon obviously has been the spotlight, but there have been other players and teams that have made some changes too. So we want to take a look back for the whole season and see who really stood out for hopefully the right reasons. So let's go through some superlatives. I'll throw you a couple of topics and let's hear your thoughts on who you think is the best right now.
Sounds good. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Now, of course, when we talk about League of Legends superlatives, you can't miss the best in role. And with you, I want to ask who the best support would be given your loyalty and fandom of the support players here in the LCK.
Well, I think there are a couple that we can really highlight. I think that Beryl was a very aggressive support. He still is. If I had to pick one, I would still vote on Keria. I think that he's incredibly mechanically talented.
I believe just landed. And now, Keria, what the heck was that? What? The most amazing.
And he can do pretty much anything from the support role, so I would have to go with Keria.
Okay, so it sounds like Beryl obviously doing very well for Damwon, but if you had to pick one for like any team, any situation, Keria is still kind of shining at the top. Who's the best assistant? Now, we just talked about the best support as in the League of Legends role, and of course you guys pick out the player of the game for the LCK, but if you had to pick one player, who would it be?
Well, generally when you're thinking about an assistant, you're talking about someone who's not really making like the incredible carry plays, but somebody who's really setting up the play, right? And a lot of that does fall on the jungle and support roles. I guess in the jungle, I'd say maybe Clid is really active around the map, and he's always looking for ganks and looking to set up for his team. From the support role, I think we got to mention him again, Beryl. He'd be probably my number one. He will play these aggressive supports, and he has the lowest duo proximity, actually, of any support. He's all over the map.
Team tax that Harmer are paying here is another beautiful hook lands. This time onto lava somehow. The flash forward from Beryl as well. God, he's so good.
Who has the highest carry potential, right? If you had to pick one player to just hard carry a game, who's it going to be?
I think it's so easy for me to just go immediately towards Showmaker. Showmaker is definitely this guy who is always ready to carry.
Turret shot at the flash is now Showmaker looking for more heal. Comes on in as well as that is a point blank bubble. And Nuguri's in here also. And Mystic has to flash to get himself out of the way. Showmaker flashes forward. Good God. Okay.
He hasn't really been challenged, even by, you saw the last time, Damwon versus DRX, because that was supposed to be the big mid matchup, right? It was going to be Chovy potentially taking over Showmaker, and then Chovy wins 0 and 8. How more consistent can you be than defeating the, your main rival? I think it's hard not to say Showmaker for this one.
Let's talk about most improved player. We already talked about how the LCK has changed quite a bit. So individually, who would you say improved the most?
If I had to isolate one player, I would probably say Kana, because he had his rookie season, looked decent, right? And now here in summer, a lot of people are calling him like the best top laner. The fact that he's even getting that much spotlight and competing with guys like Nuguri, like Keen, and playing the way that he is nowadays, he really has improved, and he has become one of the main carries.
Yeah, he's really begun kind of carrying that torch alongside some of those other veterans. We've gone through some of these superlatives, the various topics, and we picked out the best. And one thing that came up was Damwon, right? What differentiates Damwon against all these other teams, right? Why are they so different? Why are their players able to do so many different things? And let's start with the top lane. What's the difference between Nuguri and then some of these other top laners we just mentioned, like Kana or maybe Keen?
Well, the thing about Nuguri is that he's so persistent, right? And this is why this 0-2 power spike exists, right? It's like a lot of players, they'll get killed a couple times, they'll say, oh, I gotta play safe in the lane, I gotta sit back. The incredible mechanics he was able to show in these fights where he's really not scared to take any fights as well, which is sometimes can lead to his deaths, but even if he gets behind, he will always carry, which is weird. Sure. No other player can really say that. Even if you go 0-2, you're still going to sometimes get the player of the game and carry your team. I think it's just a Nuguri thing.
Yeah, it's just what he's able to do. Like you said, the persistence. Let's move to the bottom. All the supports seem to be putting a bit more focus on roaming, and you mentioned Beryl, of course, the lowest proximity duo, but some of the other supports as well. Is this, once again, just a focus on being more aggressive?
Obviously, if you can make it work, it's going to be very strong, right? Having an extra ganker or playmaker, someone who's going to be ready for a lot of those Rift Herald team fights that we see at, 8, 9, 10 minutes nowadays, where the teams really love to focus on that objective because it can just really boost you ahead in the early game. Having Beryl there or having another support player that will be in the face, right? You think about Effort, plays a ton of Leona. He has shown that he can do it as well.
To the side, Tempered Fate lands onto 4 members, and in goes the volley bear. Everyone just gets pounded. Teddy with a double kill. Is it gonna be the triple as he is gonna pick that one?
So I think that T1 is actually the next team that's really beginning to say, hey, we can do this too.
So do you think the LCK can now redeem itself should we face against LPL teams at Worlds?
Well, I do agree with the word redeem. I think that LCK has a lot of redeeming to do for their name. They used to be on top, but now we've taken a little step back. For right now, there's one certainty in my mind. I think that Damwon is definitely on that level, at least top 2 in the world right now. But I do like the trajectory that T1 is going on nowadays with Closer, showing that he can also play at a high level here. And it's kind of changed the way that T1 has played their game a bit. But going into playoffs and into Worlds, Faker, who has, the biggest pedigree of someone who can come into a high pressure situation in a best of 5 and perform at a really high level. So I think that having Closer there to support him as well going into a Worlds match and building him up in recent weeks is actually really going to help T1. And I think that they might have a better chance compared to teams like DRX and Gen G that have shown consistency issues here in the LCK.
I gotta say, all this talk about the upgrades, Damwon, the potential of T1, it gets me excited for playoffs and Worlds, but the regular split isn't quite over yet here at the LCK. And we've actually had some exciting matches last week as well. So let's take a look at the highlights from week number 9. In number 5, here we have the resident Qiyana pick coming up from Kaney for Solo and Prince, and they are pretty far behind here.
Yeah, Kaney, unfortunately, he was trying so hard to carry his team, couldn't get there in the end, but he almost did it with this amazing play. Picks up the triple kill and the Baron, showing why his team lets him play that Qiyana pick.
Yeah, sure, they took the loss, but he puts Qiyana back on the map.
Coming in at number 4, BDD shows off on his signature Akali pick to get Gen G back in the game here.
Yeah, Gen G was a little bit behind, but we see that BDD setting up behind and he gets Miru first as a solo kill, but watch this. Dashes through everyone once and then another time to make sure that Gen G sweeps the river.
Swept him up and eventually took the win here up against Hanwha Life.
For number 3, A Freak of Freaks going up against Sandbox Gaming, and this was one of those games where we saw Lilia in the jungle played by Spirit.
Yeah, he has a ton of fun on the Lilia here in this game, but you can see the 2 tanks trying to zone each other's teams away. On Fleek doesn't do the best job, but Keen gets in the front line, sweeps up, does huge damage, and then boom, double sleep comes in, Spirit goes over the wall and gets amazing damage in this team fight.
Yeah, Spirit says nighty-night to Sandbox and brings another highlight for A Freak of Freaks.
For our number 2 play of the week, Dudu gets died by 2 members of DRX, but somehow is able to turn it around.
Yeah, he already looks confident from the get-go, given that okay with the Rammus. And watch this, gets 1 kill, but he stays around with so little health.
Yeah, Dudu proving to everybody that he is here to stay in the LCK.
And the best play of the week, DRX up against Solo and Prince, and things are looking a little shaky here for DRX in Game 3.
Thankfully, Pyosik was able to come in here in the clutch, just barely is able to steal this Elder Drake away. And even though he goes down, he stole the game for his team, gets everybody low, as Deft is able to come in here and execute everybody that was left over.
Yeah, Deft secures the triple kill, gets the ace, and Pyosik steals the Drake and the game for DRX in the best play of the week. Now, there is one final week left of the LCK here, Brendan, week 10 of the Summer Split. So let's actually bring up the schedule and take a look at what's in store. Right off the bat, T1 is facing the indomitable Damwon tonight. Afrika Freaks also have a chance to play Spoiler as they challenge Gen G, and T1 will have one final challenge against DRX on Sunday for the last day of the regular season. So Brendan, the week's pretty packed. What's your match of the week?
I think the obvious one coming in is Damwon versus T1 right off the bat. I think Damwon untouchable nowadays, but T1 coming in with some big consistency. We'll see if they can actually challenge this monster that is Damwon that seems to lose to nobody.
Yeah, well, looking at the standings, we see that Damwon, of course, should be able to take that first seed back, and the top 4 teams are locked in for playoffs. The big question now, Brendan, is 5th seed. Is Afrika Freaks going to be able to protect it against KT, who do technically have a chance to challenge for the spot?
Well, to get that spot, they would need Afrika to lose twice, and they would have to win both of their matches, and KT have Damwon later in the week. So it's going to be quite difficult. There's a lot of things that have to go right for KT and wrong for Afrika. So I'm going to put my money on Afrika, probably taking that final spot going into the wildcard match of the playoffs.
Well, only 1 week left until the playoffs here in the LCK, and then things will start to fall into place. Thank you so much for joining us on the show, Brendan. It's always a joy to talk to you about the LCK.
Yeah, always fun, and thanks for having me once again. We got the finals right around the corner, so I'm really psyched for that as well.
For all you LCK fans, be sure to catch Brendan Valdes on the LCK Global broadcast for the last week of matches here in the regular season, Thursday through Sunday. For more content like this, subscribe right here on T1 Fighting, and if you enjoyed this episode, give us a like. Also, don't forget to let us know down in the comments below who you think will be the 3 teams going to Worlds from the LCK. And with that, have a legendary week.